Hello, everybody. It's Mike Kilgore. Boy, we're on a marathon now, doing some great interviews, getting some good feedback from people with these interviews. But today we're going to do an interview. Usually I do it in the evening, but started to do a couple of them during the day because the evenings are getting kind of tough around my house with lacrosse and kids and everybody else going on. So try to do a couple of these during the day. And the whole purpose of this is to bring you guys together. I've been to many events. I've been to training events. I've been to this association event. And typically we see highly successful people up talking about different methods that are there. And the people that we're trying to bring to you with Trident are very successful in their own right, but they're the ones that are also still out there just cranking, just like everybody else. And we want to create that relationship between our contractors that may be using our product and some other people that have had long-term success so that they can hear that. And ultimately, we want to hear their story too. So this is not just going to end with just those people, but once you become certified and become a master certified and you've spent some time doing that and you've been out there, then we want to do an interview with you. So it's about bringing your story to light of what you've learned over the period of time and what we can learn from you, because I learned something all the time from these interviews. And so today we have Justin Marlow, and he's with the new 904 paver ceiling. Show him that hat there, right? 904 paver ceiling, which was originally, there it is. Oh yeah, man, look at those guns, man. I tell you what.
I
Yeah.
got the stomach to go with them.
Yeah. Yeah, but originally 904 wash pros. So first of all, we're going to get into that, like how that transition happened. But first of all, tell me a little bit more about you. How did you come? Where are you from? Tell me about who you are, where your
Yeah.
family, stuff like that. Tell us a little bit about you.
You and I touched on this a little bit when I went my first Trident training last year when I switched over to Trident brand products. We are actually from about the same area. You're Cape Girardeau, Missouri.
Yep.
I'm originally from Belleville, Illinois, which is right across the river from St. Louis.
Yeah.
Then I went down and did a little stint in Paducah, Kentucky.
Good old
And
Paducah.
yeah, so our connection is Lambert's Cafe, the
Now
home of the
that's down in Sikeston.
Sikeston, Missouri. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that
So,
Lambert's Cafe, home of the throwed rolls. I mean, I
yep.
knew I knew Mr. Lambert very, very well as a kid growing up.
Yeah.
So
So Illinois to Kentucky, and then eighth grade, I moved down to Florida, and I've been here ever since. So I am 43.
mhm.
So I've been down here longer than anywhere else. My background, I actually spent almost 8 years as a mortgage loan officer and almost another 8 years as a real estate agent.
Mm.
And I just kind of got burnt out on doing that. So about 5, 6 years ago, went and started a lawn care landscape company called 904 Lawn Pros.
Mhm.
And that grew into adding additional services, obviously pressure washing, soft washing, etc. And then when that door opened, I started finding out about the need for paver sealing and went to, my first paver sealing training and went through a couple of different other trainings for other companies and just kind of fell in love with paver sealing. You're on one job every day. You're not bouncing around to 20 different properties every day, and no ladders, no getting on roofs. You're on the ground, so can't beat that.
And
But out of all the services,
everything is uniquely different. Like every
yes,
job has its own set of challenges. That's what
yeah,
I like about it.
that it does. But that's just out of all the services that we did, that's what I fell in love with, and it's somewhat profitable. So that just kind of became my jam. And we have decided to change the name from 904 Wash Pros. Like my Facebook page used to say 904 Wash Pros and Paver Sealing. Now it's just 904 Paver Sealing because that is literally all we do now. So that's kind of my 43 years in about 2 minutes.
Well, that's and yeah, you've got we talked about kids a little bit before. You've got a couple of kids.
Yep, yep. I've got two daughters that are 16 and 13. My girlfriend's got a daughter that's almost 16. So,
Mhm.
between the two of us, we've got three teenage girls at home.
Hmm.
Pray for me.
Yeah.
So,
I got three teenage sons, so I get it, but they're, 17, 15 and 17, 15 and 13. So, they definitely have different challenges, but I've definitely
yeah.
got those three boys that are there. So tell me a little bit about, one of the things um has been kind of pressing a little bit. And I kind of come up with different thoughts, and I don't want these all to kind of sound the same. I don't want it to sound like an infomercial for Trident. And a lot of people are watching this going, okay, well, they're getting some people, and it's an infomercial for Trident of how Trident has done this and how Trident has done that. But it's kind of hard to do these without talking about those, because at the end of the day, we hope that it was an instrumental part of leveling up the game. And I think that talking about your journey of where you were when you first started your first job, and the advice that you sought after and was able to find or not find, um, and then stumbling across this new company that seemed like they just kind of started out of nowhere, but in theory they've been around for 30 years, with the SEK Sherbon. What has that what was that journey like?
Well, like you said, at risk of sounding like an infomercial, I am with Trident for a reason. There's lots of companies out there you can hit your wagon to. And when I first got into the business, you don't know anything. So I went to training here, training there, training everywhere, so I could soak up as much information as I could. And I'm grateful for those opportunities because it got me to where I am today, as far as with you guys. But Trident has by far offered me the absolute best training, the hands-on, you know, on a actual project, in-depth training. But more importantly than that, after the training is over, I have people that I can reach out to. I've got you, I've got Danielle, I've got the Trident contractors page where any question I ask, I've got 15 people answering me with good advice, not like normal Facebook groups where you get blasted for asking a question. Um, the marketing material that you guys support me with. If you're new into this business, and you're looking to have credibility lent to you, this is the absolute way to go. Like I said, I'm here for a reason. I've tried a few other brands, and I've landed with Trident a year ago. I wish I had done it sooner, but I'm getting the best results out of the product, and consistent results out of the product. That's just as or more important. And like I said, the support is amazing. Nobody else, after the training class was over, that was it. So
Yeah. And that's a common theme that we hear is because our onboarding process, the process that we take people through the training, and Danielle's getting ready to kind of settle into her additional role. We're starting to, right now, she took on a new role as two things. One, a onboarding coordinator that's taking the people that are new and walking them through those steps and getting them into the steps that they need to go to, and getting them the information they need, the sand samplers, the marketing material, and the things that go involved with that. That role kind of fell into place right before the season got really, really heavy. So right now, Danielle's been focusing a lot on, getting orders out, still, working on that a little bit, but there's going to be a whole new dichotomy that's going to start to happen, with that onboarding process that we believe is an area that needs to be, I wouldn't say improved on, but yet could still be better. It needs to be more formalized so that the people that are currently using our products can continue getting the same service that they're getting, but the new guys that are saying I'm looking for something more. And when we were hitting a little bit on the concept of, I tried different sealers, and I've tried to say this a few times, that the sealer is really only one small bit of the whole process. And we're seeing a lot that's out there saying, I've got this new zinger, I've got this new sealer, I've got this new concept. And that's great, but the sealer can only go so far in a developmental stage of taking someone that was doing primarily pressure washing to saying, I want to be a exclusive paver sealing company. That's a huge transition, and you really don't see that a whole lot, but we're seeing it a whole lot more in Trident.
Yeah, it's starting to happen. That the one thing is, you guys have the complete system, from the cleaners, the 1-2-3 punch cleaning method, which I know has been talked about already. The 5, now 6 different colors of sand. Man, the sand sells jobs. I can't tell you how many quotes I go on, and all I have to do is break out the sand samples, and they're like, well, the last guy didn't say that I could choose my sand. I mean, just, it's such a small thing, but it's so powerful. So between the whole system, the sand, or the cleaners, the sand, and then of course the different lineups of sealers that we have, I don't want to say it makes it easy, but it kind of does.
It does. And I touched on this a little bit last night. I had Mickey on last night, and I want to try to reiterate this is that, our customers are really not you, even though you are our customer. When I went to go do a sealing job, I didn't have the mentality of thinking that when I would do a sealing job, I want to make this customer happy. That customer was a gateway to the other customers that sat behind them. A lot of our business comes from referrals, but if I don't do an excellent job for this customer, and I'm thinking about just pleasing that customer, I have to please that customer, educate them in a way that they become vocal in telling their friends that they need to have this done too. And that's when the true value of educating your customer, because really you're not the one buying our product. The customer is the one buying the product. If I showed up and said, you have no customers over the next 2 weeks, guess what? Justin's not buying sealer. You're not just going to buy it.
Yep.
To hang at your house. So our goal and our method is, how do we educate the contractor in a way that they can educate the customer to buy from them, to be comfortable with them, so that they do the job. And what are some of the challenges that you're seeing out there right now? Obviously price point is an interesting topic all on its own.
Yeah, and I've had this conversation with people before. I don't know if I should name the names of, it's not sealer stuff, don't worry. Right. But if you live in Florida, there are 2 main grocery chains. Okay.
Right.
And one of them competes on price primarily, and one of them competes on quality and service. So I always try to make myself be the one that competes on quality and service. And you've got to be able to educate your customers and kind of let them know the difference. And I don't do it in a way where, I put down the guy that's only charging, 80 cents a square foot or whatever. I just educate the customer. Part of it is the 1-2-3 cleaning process and why it's important. Not why we do it, but why it's important not to use bleach on pavers. And I used to do that at the beginning. I'm guilty of it. I'm sure we all were, until I learned the right way to do it. You don't want to, salt is the enemy of pavers. And if I want to get salt out of the pavers, why am I going to put salt, which is the primary ingredient in bleach, into pavers? Not to mention the risk of fading them. So, just teaching the customer, because they don't know, I didn't know when I was at the beginning of paver sealing. So they don't know what's good, what's bad, what's not supposed to be done, and, what's the top end way to do it. So it's all about customer education and letting them know this is why I charge more. And over the last, I would say over the last 5 months, 6 months, I've probably been able to raise my price about 50 cents a square foot. I'll tell everybody right now, I don't care. I started $1.50 a square foot minimum for a clean sand and seal. So unless it's a really small project, if I get a little 500 square foot patio or something, then that's going to increase. But if it's a larger project, I might give a little bit off. But I used to start at $1 a square foot.
I started off at $1 a square foot. That's where I was at. Slowly moved up my process and slowly moved it up. And I think whenever I left, I was around that $1.35 a square foot out of it. And that's in the Tampa Bay area. And right. I know some of these people are watching it in, New York and New Jersey, and they're going, I get $4 a square foot. Great. Okay. And more power to you. Right. And we hope.
Of Tampa, sorry. I was going to say, speaking of Tampa Bay, did we mention where I am? I don't think we did we?
Jacksonville.
I know. Yes. 904 covers.
I guess we didn't really say that. Yeah, you're in Jacksonville. 904, and a lot of people may not know where 904 is.
The greater Jacksonville area. So Duval County, Nassau County, Clay County, St. Johns County. So those areas. But yeah, sorry.
No. I don't think I said that. I said 904, but I don't think I said.
Yeah.
That
I don't think I clarified it. So that's on me.
Yeah. So and pricing is to beat people on price is the easy way, right? That's the simple way. It's, when somebody would contact me and say, bring us your best deal and we'll beat it by 5%. We're hoping that the other people will do the work. And then I'm just going to beat you with price. But the people that are doing it at the higher levels are educating those customers and saying, these are the reasons why, and time again. I mean, I just had, Rob Harris in here, and we were just talking inside the office, and he just said, I am charging consistently higher than majority of my competitors that are out there, and I'm booked solid.
Yeah, I'm 5 weeks out.
Yeah.
So,
and that's great. And that's what we want. And it's amazing because when I was coming through is always, how do we raise the bar? How do we get the prices up? How do we do that? How does that, can we just charge more? Can we get all the paver sealers in one area and we'll all get together and we'll go to Beef O'Brady's or the local bar and we'll have some drinks and we'll all decide we're going to charge this amount.
Little price fixing.
Little price fixing, right? That's what we're going to do. And it sounds good on the level. But then when it comes to reality, it falls apart. Because there may be 6 of you at that dinner, but there's 9 other people on the outside that could give 2 damns about your price fixing.
Or as soon as the first guy at the dinner isn't getting enough business, he's like, "Well, I'll just go 10 cents a square foot."
Yeah, I'll just you just cut it down a little bit. That's here, and then now the whole thing blows apart.
Yeah.
I was yesterday. I'm going to see if I can find this. I want to read this. I think it's a very valuable piece, and it was sent to me by my boss. And he got it from someone else. So this is not something that he made up in all of his infinite wisdom and everything. a very smart guy. But I sent this. He sent it to me yesterday because I was, having different issues that were coming about. I know I'm kind of just blabbering on here a little bit, but I am pulling this up here. Let me pull it up here. I sent it to Danielle because I thought it was such a great piece, and I think it's inside my text messages here. Here it is. Okay. She sends me about 400 messages. We work insane about. Well, okay, here we go. All right. So this is what it said. So sorry for the delay and everything here. So it said an experiment was conducted to see if greyhounds could compete with the speed of a cheetah. When the cages opened, folks were shocked that the cheetah didn't move. They asked the race coordinator what had happened and why did the cheetah not move? His response, sometimes trying to prove that you're the best is an insult to your self-worth. There is no need to lower yourself to other people's level to make them understand your skills, qualities, and contributions. It's better to save your energy for more worthy endeavors. A cheetah uses its speed to hunt, not to prove to dogs that it's faster and stronger. Don't waste your time and energy proving your value to folks who simply don't possess the skill to appreciate your value and worth. Move on. Like,
Absolutely.
I read that like 2 or 3 times and I said, don't waste your time and energy proving your value to folks who simply don't possess the skill set to appreciate your value and worth. So that doesn't mean that every customer out there is your customer. There's going to be customers out there that really could care less about you educating them about sand, sealer, cleaners, chlorine, the different types of sand and everything else. They only want the cheapest price. It's just not your customer.
Well, it's like, steak. You can get steak at Golden Corral. Mm-hmm. You can get steak at Longhorn. You can get steak at Ruth Chris. Mm-hmm. It's what's your budget and what do you want? Right. I don't know where you're going next, but something we talked about before we got on here, the camaraderie and the trainings and connecting with people like that. So I don't know if you want to go there now, or
we can do that now. Hey, there is no set agenda. This is you and me talking.
So before we went, or not live, but before we started recording, Mike and I had a short little chat. We were talking about the different trainings that I've been to, the one that I hosted up here in Jacksonville last week, and then the one that I went to in Orlando a couple of weeks, or probably a month ago, 2 months ago.
About a month ago. Yeah.
But we talk about the support, and I'm not talking about just from Trident corporate, okay? Right. The Trident contractors group, and then once you become the inner circle member, if you get in the inner circle group, the support from those guys is amazing. And I bring this up because I met a couple of people at the Orlando event, and one has reached out to me and is brand new, and asked me, hey, would you be willing, sorry, that's my dog. Would you be willing to come and help me on this job? I booked my first big job, and, he wants somebody to be there and help him out. It was like, absolutely. Obviously he offered to, compensate me. But I said, sure, no problem. Because, man, I would have killed for somebody to be there on my first job, because I showed up to my first job and I didn't know that I had to strip it, but I had to strip it. So that was fun. And then I had another guy from the Jacksonville training last week that I hosted, or we hosted together, reach out to me, and went and helped him on his first couple of jobs to make sure that, everything went smoothly. So, being able to meet people at these events and make that personal connection and have friends in the business is priceless, absolutely priceless.
Yeah. Well, and for some of the people that don't know, and this is a shameless plug, but I'm going to throw it out there anyway, is what he's talking about is the Trident Protects Contractors Only group on Facebook. And that group's got roughly around 2,500 members that are inside of that. But inside that group, there is about 50 to 60 people that are inside there that are master certified Trident technicians. And they've been through all of the trainings. They've been through the live training, they've been through the online training, they've been through the master certification class and everything, which is primarily focused around sales. And by doing those three things, and I talk about a little bit on each one of these interviews that's there, they are the ones that when they go in and answer questions, they're going to have the what is it? They got a little tag next
Group
to them
expert.
there. Group expert. That's what I was trying to find.
Because I
Group
don't have
expert next to it. Well, you must have. I'll have to look to see.
for some reason you can't tag me.
Because there's certain ones that they won't, Facebook won't allow you to tag. So you must be like, I don't know, like bashing Biden, or
I must be in Facebook jail or something.
you did Facebook jail in a period of time. I don't know why Facebook does that, because I don't think it should be their responsibility to determine whether or not I think you're an expert in my group. But I've got a few people in there, Rob Harris, I got Sean Bull, I've got yourself, that are not they don't have group expert next to them because Facebook just won't let me tag them.
I just get a kick out of it. I was like, oh, maybe I'm not qualified to answer that question.
No, you are. It's just that you've been a bad boy, I guess, because I looked up, why can't I tag this? And they're like, no, he must have made some kind of corona comment or something like that. Who knows? Whatever Zuckerberg decides of how to do that. But in that group, if it's amazing how many people will obviously reach out to us here with Danielle and myself, and with Lonnie and with Martin and with Jay and with Lynn, and they'll reach out for questions. But sometimes you're on a job and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't get a hold of someone. You know, Danielle's out there packing a pallet, or I'm here, I'm doing a training or something, and they'll type that question inside of that group. And usually within minutes, there's answers, and they're solid,
good answers.
Solid answers. You're not going to get and when we start seeing you need to hire a professional, or you should let somebody
else, you won't do that again.
Yeah, but that kind of stuff, we step in. This is not what this group is about. Has it gotten away a few times? Yes. Has it gotten sideways once or twice? But we've tried to clean that out, and I think that most people in there would agree that it's a solid group of information that's coming out, and not everyone in there is using Trident. But it's a good solid group. So if you're not part of that group, you should probably join into that group and be a part of it. But you touched a little bit about the community and people coming together, and that's really kind of one of the bases behind our shirt, with the shirt behind us, of having those 4 or 5 characters that were up there, and with showing that community that's all there, because we're not going to do this by ourselves. There's no way. So what kind of advice would you give to, that new person that was, kind of teetering back and forth of should they join in? And, what kind of advice would you give them getting into paver sealing?
If they've never done it, well, either way, but if they've never done it, they want to learn what it's about, connect with somebody on that group and say, hey, can I ride along for a job? And let me see what this is all about, see if it's something I'm interested in. Or especially if they've already got a job booked and they've never done it or just started doing it, see if you can find somebody in your area that's in that contractors group and see if they can help you out. Like I said, I've had 2 people reach out to me, and I'm more than happy to go out and help them out. The one guy said he's got this big job. I said, well, I'm 5 weeks out, but if that fits their schedule, then I'll come help you out. No problem. There's plenty of pavers for all of us. Jacksonville, the greater Jacksonville, I think Jacksonville itself is right at 1 million people. It's like 850 square miles. There's plenty of pavers here. I'm not worried about, oh, I can't help him. He's in my same city, because I never know when I'm going to need help. Having friends in the business is priceless when something happens. So the more people I can be friends with and help out, hopefully karma will come back and help me out too. So.
Well, and you did touch on that there is so much, especially in Florida, right? And as you start getting out into, as I like to say, Walla Walla, Bing Bang, nowhere, right? There's not as much opportunity, so that territory stake becomes a little bit different in that world. But in Florida, there's so many pavers and so much opportunity that's there. And I've never, in the years that I've done social media development and things like that, I've never seen such a collaborative group of guys and women that will take people in the same area and say, this is the product that we're using. This is the process that we're doing, because they know that it just takes that one bad apple to go out and do a bunch of crappy jobs.
Yep.
That all of a sudden the brand that is great, is phenomenal, and they're going out, and now there's a new customer perception that's starting to happen, that if we can help each other and we can help each other grow with that, it's going to help it build stronger and stronger to what we really want paver sealing to be.
Yeah, raise raise the bar together, so that everybody is on the same level. Because if you have somebody that doesn't know how to apply the product, it might not look as good as somebody else. So you've got that perception of, oh, well, this is brand XYZ and it doesn't look good over here, so it's not going to look good on my pavers. Or the ones where, and I've seen pictures in other groups where someone will come in and do a paver seal job and there's sand left on top of the pavers, sealed to the pavers. And so that customer now has a mindset of, well, I don't want to do that again. And it was because they had a bad experience with a particular contractor. So, if we can raise everybody's bar product wise and experience wise or knowledge wise, and then get that consistent level of professionalism, it's going to be better for everybody in the long run. So that's why it doesn't really concern me as far as, oh, they're in my same area, because if we can raise the bar, it's going to benefit everybody.
Yeah, and that's a healthy way of looking at it, because the whole idea of, well, there's the 85 cents, the 65-cent paver sealer that is in our area, and I can't compete with him. And then the old classic response is, well, he'll be out of business in 6 months. He'll be out of business in 3 months. That's great. But there's 8 more of them behind him.
Right.
It's never going to go away, because the people that can't educate themselves or don't see the value of it, the only way they're going to compete is by being the low price provider. And ultimately, they start to weed themselves out, but there's going to be more that come in. Look at all the people that started pressure washing companies during the pandemic. And now all their machines are for sale.
Yep. On Facebook Marketplace, every winter, you see all the machines and rigs go up for sale.
Yeah.
One thing I was going to say is I've heard the saying before, if you think hiring a professional is expensive, wait till you hire an amateur. And when you see a lot of these companies, and I'm not referring to them as amateurs and knowledge wise or whatever.
You don't have to walk it back. We're having real talk here. Yeah.
But I'll say this because I know a company that's fairly local to me, and they charge 80 cents to $1 square foot. And I'm at I started at $1.50. So right off the bat, the customer's like, oh, this other guy's a better deal. But what you don't realize is with me, you've only got to reseal every 3 to 5 years. With that guy makes you reseal every year. So is he really cheaper? No, he's not. So again, it all goes back to educating the customer on process and quality and what the expectations are and longevity of the product. You got to make sure you're doing the true apples to apples comparison.
Well, and it's also about the type of customer that they're looking for. There's three types of customers. There's the do-it-yourself guy, right? The number one, he's the do-it-yourself guy. No matter what you pitch to that person, they're going to do it themselves, right? They more than likely had you come out to give an estimate just so that they can say how much they saved.
Yep.
That's the only reason they got you out there, right? Is so that they can walk in, pound their chest and say, I did this and it was going to cost me $2,000, but I was able to do it for $600. I saved ourselves $1,400, right? So that's number one. And number two is the customer that is, I could do this. I wouldn't mind doing it, but I don't have the time.
Yeah.
I have money and I would much rather have someone else do it than for me to do it. That's me. But I'm more towards the third person. The third person is, I don't give a damn what it costs. I am not going to do that, right? Our education and our thought processes for years has always been, I don't want to teach my customers what to do because then they'll just go do it themselves. Well,
Yeah.
the only one that's going to do that is that first customer.
He's
And
going to do
that
it
first
anyway.
customer was not your customer in the first place. But in the meantime, you may have taught them how to do their stuff, but they were never your customer in the first place. But the other two, you've given them the credibility that you know what to do and how to do it. And those are the three types of customers that when I look at a customer, how do they fall? Do they fall into level one of the DIY guy, the number two person, which is the kind of do it yourself kind of guy, has got some money, doesn't have the time, but would like for someone else to do it because they just don't want to do it. It's like mowing the lawn. I get done working all week. The last thing I'm going to do is go and mow a lawn. My lawn take me about 2 hours to mow my lawn. Probably take me 5 hours to mow my lawn by the time I took a bunch of breaks. But now my whole weekend is gone. I don't want to mow my lawn, but I can. I can mow my lawn. I can edge it. I can do all that stuff. And then there's the other person that says, I couldn't start an engine if I tried it. I couldn't mow in a straight line if I wanted to. I just don't possess those types of skills. And those are your customers. Those are the two, weeding out those, but realizing that when I changed my marketing message from, we can provide really, really good results. This is a before it picture. This is an after picture. When I started marketing with our process and how we do what we do, my leads started going through the roof and the quality of my customers went through the roof.
Well, as soon as you show up and you start talking about the process and you're different than everybody else, it's like instant credibility and put you at the top of the list.
Yeah. Well, you know, there's a lot of angles that are involved with this. And, you know, where we started at 2 years ago and where we're at now, a little bit over 2 years ago, where we're at now has been an incredible journey so far. And it's only getting bigger and stronger and better. And, you know, we're going to see these other companies, you know, pulling out their zingers, and we've got the best, we got the newest thing. It's going to revolutionize the world and it's going to change everything. And, you know, everything you thought about paver sealing is going to be completely different. Well, our sealer is a good sealer. No doubt about it. It's a great sealer. I think we all can agree to that, or at least the people that are using it can agree to that. But the sealer is still only part of the equation. There has to be a balance between education, training, support, supply, deliverability. And then, of course, the sealer that's in it. And it all has to be in balance. You can't just add one more thing. You can't just add more of a component in a sealer and expect that sealer to be fine. You can't just say, you know what, I'm going to make a cake today, but instead of 2 eggs, I'm going to put 6 eggs. I remember as a kid, I made a cake one time and I forgot to put the eggs in. I'll never forget it. I remember how devastated I was because I felt like my parents, my mom and my dad, it was just me, my mom and my dad, were really wanting to have this cake. And I forgot to put the eggs in. Well, you can imagine that cake did not taste very, very good. It was very, very thick. It was almost like a brownie to a degree. Same thing is if I would have put 6 eggs in it. So just by changing one element of a sealer and not changing something else really doesn't always make it better. If you're not able to provide the support, the education, and the training above and beyond that, and raise that level to a bar that it needs to be, you can change all you want. It doesn't make any difference.
Well, you look at, restaurant models, fast food models, whatever, if you go to McDonald's in Jacksonville, Florida, or McDonald's in Paducah, Kentucky, or Cape Girardeau, Missouri,
every single one of them, they're not going to look like the picture on the front.
No, absolutely not. They're going to look like somebody stepped on them, but they're going to taste the same.
Exactly.
And if people don't know this about Trident, one of the things that I love is I know the product is going to be consistent because you guys will not change the formula. And that's important right now with all the shortage issues that we've got going on. You guys won't just say, oh, well, we can't get this component. This one's pretty much the same thing. It's a little bit cheaper. We'll just switch it out. Nobody will ever know. You guys don't do that. I know if I buy a bucket of Trident or Cyclone, a bucket of Cat 5 or Cyclone or whatever, that it's going to look the exact same that it did the last time I put it down. And for me to be able to have a business, I need to know that I've got consistency. And I know that with you guys, I do. So that's, it's one of the many check boxes that, that I've marked off as to why I've hitched my wagon to you guys. So if I don't know if you want to touch on that or not, but
I do.
The quality control, you guys won't put out a sealer unless, if you got to change something, you put out a new product.
Exactly. So we had a sales meeting, and I think I mentioned this one time before, maybe just in the trainings. I don't know if I've actually done it on camera or not, but we had a sales meeting. It was in November, I think it was November, I think it was, up in Chicago. And we knew about the shortages. That's when I actually got the presentation talking about the shortages. And that's when I did the presentation at the end of our training. It's part of our online training of supply chain issues and how that interacts and things.
It was a really cool one.
And it was fun. I actually enjoyed it. When I saw it, I asked Brad afterwards, the owner of the company, if I could have his presentation. He goes, well, it's not really that good of a presentation. I said, no, to you, it doesn't seem like maybe a big presentation because you're dealing with it all day, but it was a very well presentation put together that showed the effectiveness and the trickle down effect that just the increase puts it in perspective. Exactly. And one of the things that he touched on is a fundamental core belief of SEK and Trident is that when we make a product, we make that product, we test it, we go again with all the history that has been gone through, the years and years of experience to develop this new product to meet the needs of what's going on in the market. And when it's put out as that product, as a standard. This is how it's made. When you go to McDonald's, you're going to get your all beef, well, we won't, maybe beef, right? But that's a prime example. Maybe instead of 8 monkey lips inside of it, there's 10 monkey lips in there now. I don't know, just having fun. A little bit of dog meat. I'm probably going to get a message from McDonald's corporate, but if McDonald's corporate is watching this video, then by all means, send me an email. I'd love to hear from you.
Do y'all have any pavers that need to be sealed?
And do you have any pavers that need to be sealed, right? We can seal the front entrances. But his belief is that if we have to change something because supply chain issues, a leveler, a dryer, something in the part A, something in the part B, one small aspect, anything that you changes performance. And performance, and I don't want to go too deep into solids. I'm not going to go into that whole story in there, but all solids are not created equal. Just because something has more solids doesn't mean that it's better. They perform differently. And if you take something out of part A or change something in part A that B is looking for, it's going to have a different performance factor that's involved with it. So his belief is that if we're asking our contractors to set realistic expectations to their customers, to say, if you do this, then this will happen. If you don't do this, this will happen. Those types of realistic expectations. If you don't set those realistic expectations and meet those expectations, then you're going to fail. So you have two choices in the world. You can either go and make the change to your existing product and put it out there and let the world sort it out. And hopefully you threw that horseshoe and it hit a ringer. But the odds are you're going to throw it a bunch of times and it's going to miss the mark, right? That's a scary situation of doing that because you're putting risk on the line. So you can either change it and not say anything, which is a bad way of doing it, right? So the two options you have is either don't make it. You don't get to go to McDonald's and say, I would like a Big Mac, and they give you a Big Mac. This is probably now that I think about it, a bad example, because you could say, I don't want any pickles, and they won't put any pickles on it. And so I was going down a good road, but you're not able to go in and make those changes.
Maybe they're out of pickles and you're just put sliced cucumbers on it.
Now we're cooking, but they don't tell you yet. Yeah, it's kind of a pickle, but yet not, right? Instead of grapes, we're going to actually use, raisins. Yeah. Right. They're still the same thing, right? But it's either we're not going to make it or we're going to make a different product that comes out, and it may be Hurricane Cat 4.5 or 5.1 or, whatever, tropical storm. But that product is going to have the education, the training, and the expectations based on the chemistry that's put together to provide the outcome that the customer and the contractor are looking for. And that is why, Cyclone, originally SB 1300, hasn't been chemically changed except for one thing. In 30 years, the only thing that's been changed to it is we added an antifungal film protection to it. That just wasn't available 30 years ago. But now it is. And so by adding that, when they make products, Tsunami solvent-based, rainproof in 90 minutes, one of the highest sellers in our company for years, and Cat 5 is tracking right along with it. And these are the reasons why consistency is of the utmost importance when it comes down to building consistency in the minds of contractors and homeowners.
I'm in a consistent business. I need consistent product. That's it.
We don't want you to worry about the product.
I'm not.
No, exactly. That's the thing. We don't want you worried about the product. So, um, what um, what do you see that um other contractors, and I don't want to say inexperienced contractors because I think that sounds kind of harsh. It's not what I'm trying to come across. People that may not have the experience. I kind of just took that and put a different emphasis on a different syllable there.
Right.
Um, what do you think that they are focusing on that is a distraction compared to what they really need to be focusing on? Does that make sense? Like, for instance, um, I had a contractor that was focused on um, his employees and getting them to work. And it was more important for them to get them to work and be there at 8 o'clock and work a full day than it was focusing in on their process and taking out those objections that are happening, those obstacles that were in the way. Meanwhile, they were, they were more concerned about the employee showing up than wondering about that they had one nipple that they were using between the surface cleaner and their pressure washing gun, and they had to shut off their machines to remove the nipple from the surface cleaner to put it on their gun to use their gun. And then when they got done using the gun, they would take the nipple off, shut off the machine, screw it on to their surface cleaner. And what?
So the question was, what do I think that newer contractors are focused on? I think probably the biggest thing, and I'm sure we were all guilty of it at the beginning, is we all need money. We all got bills, we're concerned about price. So a lot of times that drives people to buy cheaper product, or product that doesn't perform as well, inferior product. We'll go to big box stores or whatever. Can't tell you how many of those jobs we've had to fix. But they're so focused on money, as we all need to be, and getting the next job and everything, that a lot of times they don't have time or don't make the time to focus on growth and education so that they can grow and not have to be so focused on that other stuff. Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense.
Perfect. Good. Since it's recorded, I want to make sure it was good.
Well, yeah, I mean, I agree with you. That I'll have people that will try to save. Let's take this for instance: kit of Cat 5, right? Kit of Cat 5's not cheap, right? It's not cheap. It's good stuff, right? But if we did comparison charts and we did all that kind of stuff, I can show that actually it is a better product and is cheaper than a lot of the things that are out there on the marketplace and performs a whole lot better.
I would say when you break down the cost, that it's in line with probably the other 3 or 4 major ones out there.
Right.
Like initially, because I came from the same mindset at our first meeting, I was like, well, brand X costs this much and brand Z costs this much, but I wasn't getting the same coverage amounts, or more importantly, the same quality. But sorry, go ahead.
No, it's absolutely true. And I'll hear the, well, oh, there's a price increase that's here. And when I break it down and say that, yes, there was a price increase and it went, the price went up 1 cent per square foot. When I look at a kit of Cat 5 that walks out of our door, I look at it as, here is an opportunity for someone that is, doing $1.50 a square foot. No matter what happens, whether you buy it from a dealer or you buy it from us direct or however you get it, it's still only 500 and something odd dollars in our pocket. But that opportunity to be able to take something that is $500 put some labor involved with it, some insurance that's involved with it, all the marketing that goes into it, you should still be sitting around a 45% hard cost with labor included in a job. Now, some of these guys are sitting at 35% because they've been able to charge more. That all gets fluctuated by how much you charge. And, you know, we spend so much time in the world worrying about the things that we don't need to worry about. Like, I'm going to spend, it's the cheetah, right? Back to that story. Am I going to beat the hell out of my chlorine supplier because they're charging me another 20 cents per gallon of chlorine, or my sealer supplier that provides everything that I need, but yet I've been able to charge more than I ever been able to charge in my entire life, not just because of the supply and inflation and everything else that helped. It gave us a better excuse. And it is true, prices have gone up.
Oh yeah.
Gas has gone up, wages have gone up. Those things have gone up. I'm not taking that away, but I'll look at people and I'll talk to them and they'll say, I've grown, my cost has gone 20 cents per square foot, but yet I'm now able to charge 45 cents more per square foot. Well, why didn't you charge just 20 cents, right? If you were really just going up to keep the demand and keep it up, why didn't you go up 20% or 20 cents? Why did you go up 45 cents? That's because you're able to provide that higher quality that's in it. So I think a lot of new guys spend too much time worrying about, I've got to have the best website. I've got to have the best business cards. I've got to have the best email marketing. I've got to have the best yard signs. And they start going through things in a paralysis by analysis mode.
Mm-hmm.
And then they never get anything done at some point. So the demand is what creates the want, not the want creates the demand. I mean, how many people go out and go, I need to have a 15 gallon per minute machine, or I got to have a 10 gallon a minute machine. I can Siamese those together, but they don't have the business to support that.
Mm-hmm.
The want.
I'm just now getting ready to upgrade my machine. So
yeah, but you're moving it in a way that the demand is dictating that you need to focus more on efficiency now.
Yeah, well, I heard it somewhere that if you want to grow fast, you got to slow down.
Wow, that's an interesting concept. I don't know where the hell that came from. But
know.
yeah, if you want to grow fast, slow down. I actually had a conversation with Steve Sadler. He came by earlier today. We're going to do an interview with him. I'll tell you, that's going to be a fireworks show is what that's going to be. He's got a lot of great things to talk about, and has done a lot of sealing a long time. But he said that he's making more money now. A lot of the people are saying, I make more money now by slowing down because the quality of my work has increased dramatically. And that's the concept where we circle back to is that your customer doesn't end there. It's beyond that. How do we get to that next customer? That's by doing an exceptional job for the one that we're working on right now.
Yep. Yeah, one thing I want to touch on the Cat 5 real quick, if we have any new guys watching this and made it all the way to this point in the interview. You talk about the cost of Cat 5 and your coverage rate and all that. One thing that is extremely important or valuable is the cookbook on the back of the Part B can. Like no other company gave me that when I was with other sealers. I would waste so much product because I would have, I didn't know if I needed to only mix up a half a kit for this job or a quarter kit for this job, or, if I know this job is exactly 500 square feet, I know I need, whatever the measurements are, a quart of this, 2 quarts of that, and a gallon of water. I mean, the fact that I can have that information and save the rest of the product for other jobs, I can't tell you how many small paver jobs that I've been able to do at no cost, because I've already had product left over for bigger jobs. So I had minute cost in labor, minute cost in chemicals to clean it, and the sealer had already been paid for by another job, basically. So not saying those jobs were 100% profit, but dang near, and to have 3 of those in a week is awesome. And I didn't have that with anybody else.
Yeah. Well, I remember sitting in the old office and John, our vice president, called up and said, we are going to do something completely different. It's going to be a 7-gallon kit. And I remember thinking, I went through the same process of going, what are you talking about? What do you mean a 7-gallon kit? 5 gallons of part A, 2 gallons of part B? Yeah. And then we're going to have a bucket that has the measurements on the side with the lines. And then we're going to have a D1 solution and a D2 solution. And on top of that, we're going to have Cat 5. We're going to have, well, at that point, it was 6700, 6750, 6725, and 6715. There was 4 versions of it at that point, which then for Trident, we basically narrowed that down to Cat 5, Cat 3, and Cat EZ. So the equivalent of that was 6700, 6725, and 6715. I know I just blew a lot of people around with that, but that was the translation. And then I remember thinking to myself, so we're going to launch 4 different sealers. Yes, we're going to launch these 4 different sealers. Now I'm thinking to myself, just like anybody else, what the heck is this all about? The concept behind that was that long-term play of rolling out a new product was to find out what does the market really want in what they're doing. If we just rolled out with a Cat EZ, which is 4.75 gallons of part A and a quarter gallon of part B, you take the B and just pour it into it. That sounds great, right? It's easy. It's simple. I put the B into A. That's the Cat EZ. I mix it together and I spray it down. It's almost as close to having a 1 part as you can, but really being 2-part technology. But at the end of the day, you're only getting 1/4 of a gallon, a quart, inside of that whole 5 gallons. Then when you moved into the Cat 3, you got a little bit more of the part B, but when you got into Cat 5 and you broke it down, you were getting a half of a gallon of part B for considerably less. Look at Cat EZ. Cat EZ was about $225 a kit, 1 5-gallon container. But 1/4 of a Cat 5 is a half a gallon of part B compared to a quarter of a gallon that's there, right? So it was an opportunity very strategically to find out what does the market really want. And it was very clear very quickly that Cat 5 is what everybody wanted. They wanted that durability, the longevity, the enhancement, and everything else. Now that we got the sealer out of the way, all right, Mike, all right, Jay, all right, Lonnie and Martin and Danielle. Now, how are we going to support this? Because that's really, really what the contractors need and want, is that support and that education. So I know I keep circling back to the balanced approach, but it's something that is very, very important in the basis of our core of what we think about. So you're doing great up there, man. You're just, I love the pictures, you know.
I've been slacking on the pictures lately.
You're not
I've been so busy.
trying, you're doing it. That's the key, is you're doing it. And I think I said it when we were up there at that training, and I said it last night, is that my objective when doing a training, I'm going down to Homestead. I'm leaving later on this evening. I'm going to drive down to Homestead tonight and then do a training tomorrow in Homestead. And I say it at every one of my trainings. I hope that when you get done, two things happen. One, you go, oh my God, I had no idea what was involved with all of this. I had no idea about all the different things that were involved with it. But then I hope that the next thing is, but I can do that. That means as a teacher, we've done a good thing. So, anything else we need to cover? I could do this.
Yeah, I think we're good. I mean,
we're
real quick, you talk about teaching, being a teacher. When I train people, I always like to share this, the show, do, teach method. I don't know if you're familiar with that one or not. Show, do, teach. So at first I show them how to do it.
Right.
And then I have them do it.
Yep.
And then I have them teach me how to do it. So that I know that everything is sunk in and then they're good to go. So before I put someone on a job without me being there, they got to pass that little test. So that's my my nugget I'll leave you guys with.
I like it. I like it. It's good. It's the integration model. It's how do you move something from being familiar to something that's integrated, and that comes with time. And not all pavers are made the same. Not all concrete is made the same. And I'll leave with this nugget, and then we'll tie this down here a little bit. Is that a sealer does not know what it's doing. The person putting it down does. So when I have someone that calls me up and says, how come it's shinier in this area than it is in this area? How come the joint stabilization in this area is not as good as it is in that area? The sealer doesn't know the difference. It does what it's supposed to do unless there's an external factor that's making it react differently. The key to a professional is identifying those objectives and those obstacles before performing the job. Sean just posted this up today. How important knowing absorption rate and porosity of those pavers are prior to sealing.
Yep.
Not showing up and going, yep, I can seal that job. And you can't determine that from a satellite view. You can't determine all the aspects from just a street view from your computer or something like that. You're only going to know that by pouring some water on those pavers. You're going to only know if that was actually sealed pavers that failed sealer, or is it efflorescence. You're not going to be able to tell that 9 times out of 10 by just looking at a picture. You physically got to put some water on it.
So, and wet down the entire driveway to see if there's tire shine.
Well, had that happened today. It's funny because today's been a busy day. But one of the things that one of the contractors came in with, he went and he threw water on it, and he was getting ready to clean and nothing was changing colors. Found out that it was sealed with a super hydrophobic sealer on top of the whole entire paver pad that was there. Now he's got to strip off that with a hydrofluoric acid to be able to break that apart and get it off. Or our sealer's not going to enhance because it's a water base. It's going to repel itself. So as much education, and at the end of the day, if it's worth doing, it's worth doing poorly. Because I said this last night, if you're not willing to accept that you're going to make mistakes along the way, the question is what do you do with those mistakes after you make them? Do you learn from them or just keep them as mistakes? And we want people, we want to eliminate as many mistakes, but realize that they are going to happen. What's going to happen next?
Right. I don't care how long you're in business or how good you are. Eventually, something's going to happen, and it's how you deal with it then. And here's another nugget: you can't get referrals from pissed off customers. So
Yeah,
that's pretty simple. I know I blew your mind there, but
and I tell you, I'm stopping on that one. I can't take
right.
anymore. But common sense, and it's true. It's hard to get referral, or you're going to get referrals.
Bad ones. Yeah.
Just not the ones you want. You're not going to get the referrals that pay. What you're going to get is referrals that don't pay. Don't use this.
Yeah.
Don't
1-star reviews, not 5-star reviews.
Yeah, 1-star reviews. So, well, it's been good, man. I appreciate you taking some time today. It's fun to catch up, and just those little, every single one of these interviews that we've done, it's been a different topic. Some of them have started to blend together a little bit, which is going to happen, but reiterating and hearing it again and again from someone like yourself that is out there just crushing it, going at it, and focused in your lane and in your direction. I would say, going back to this, I keep saying one more nugget, right? I keep on saying that, right? Before you know it, we're going to have a 10-pack of chicken McNuggets, right?
Yep.
Is that if I were to give a piece of advice, whatever you choose to do, have laser focus in that direction. I see too many people that are saying, well, we do this, we do that, we do window cleaning, we do roof cleaning, we do house washing, we do paver sealing, we clean your cat, we clean your dog, we'll take out your trash, we'll do all these different things because they're chasing as much money as they possibly can. And there is a point where it becomes a profit displacement. If I'm cleaning a cage that I can make $200, or I could be prepping a paver system that I can make $1,500, where is the value of my time being used? And if I put down a flag that says, I am 904 Sealing Pros, that paver sealer. Yep, sorry, 904 paver sealing. There it is, paver sealing, right? You're not saying that you're 904 pressure washing, paver sealing, handyman, dog walker, everything else. This is what we focus on.
That's part of my sales pitch. This is what we do all day, every day.
Yeah.
Not an add-on for us.
And you will be more successful doing it that way than trying to offer every service in the entire world. Now, granted, our business model is based on finding people that were pressure washers and converting them into paver sealing customers. So if they have no mentality of getting out of pressure washing, they're probably never going to get into paver sealing. So I would say that I am thankful that people will add other services because I've moved them out of some of the pressure washing into paver sealing. But once you get to that position, you know, the big guys, the guys that are running multiple trucks, they don't clean cages. They don't clean roofs. They don't clean houses. They just paver seal. And when they show up to a customer and say, this is what we do, this is how we do it, this is what we know, that's the kind of customer I want to buy at my house. I don't get a handyman that can do everything. I get a sprinkler guy that does sprinklers. I get the lawn guy that does lawn. Sprinkler guy could probably mow a lawn, but I get my lawn guy to mow my lawn because that's what he does. So focus, laser like focus, and everybody will be good. So
rock on.
Awesome, man. Well,
anybody in Jacksonville needs help, yes, I'll be glad to help you out any way I can.
Well, if anybody has any questions or anything else like that, reach out to Marlow and 904 Paver Sealing.
There you go.
There. And really, really great guy. I mean, just beyond just what we've talked about here and there. We've had dinner together, me, you, and Brenda Farley together. That was fun. There was a lot of really cool things to talk about. But you're going to find someone there that is genuinely wanting to help you, but is also laser focused in his direction that he wants to go. So if you have any questions or anything else like that, reach out to either myself or to Justin. Also, feel free to call into the office. Danielle typically answers the phone. If not, Lynn does too. So we have 2 or 3 people that answer the phone, but mostly Danielle answers the phone there. And our number is 866-951-4293. If you are watching this and you've made it all the way to the end of this, I should have said this at the beginning, and I think I may have. Smash that subscribe button down on the bottom there in the YouTube area there, so that anytime we get new interviews that come out, you can be the first ones to see those. I've got guys that are writing in and saying, I see the interview that comes across and I just stick it on my phone, Bluetooth it into my truck, and I just listen to the interview until it's done.
Mike, if they made it this long, I think they deserve free sand samples.
Oh, yeah. Well, come to a training. I'll give them all the damn sand samples they want.
All right.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate you. And
appreciate you,
if anybody else needs anything else, you all let us know. I'm going to stop the recording. We're going to stay on and chat a little bit more. But thank you guys for attending. And we will see you guys soon.